The most toxic handshake rejection in tennis history just went down, and the receipts are finally public. A top WTA star just exposed her opponent as a fraud who used a fake injury to steal a match, and the cold shoulder at the net proved everything. This was not just a snub, this was a declaration of war, and the truth is finally exposed for everyone to see. The tennis establishment and mainstream media have been hiding the truth from fans for too long. They want you to believe this was just another petty WTA feud, but the documents prove otherwise. Join the truth seekers right now by smashing that subscribe button. Become an Inner Circle member and get access to the exclusive behind-the-scenes investigation that the tour bosses do not want you to see. Hit that hype button and drop a super thanks to fund our independent journalism, because we're the only ones telling you the real story. That match began like any other high-stakes WTA showdown with two fierce competitors, a packed stadium, and millions watching at home. But what happened off-camera changed everything. The hero was absolutely cruising through that match. She had the momentum completely on her side, and she was serving for the victory with 2 match points on the board. The scoreboard does not lie, and she was 1 single point away from a massive victory. Then the villain suddenly collapsed to the ground like she had been shot, and the theatrics were immediate. The grimacing, the clutching, the dramatic fall that would make a Hollywood actor jealous. It was all there for the world to see. Here is where the rulebook confirms the deception, because under WTA medical timeout regulations, a player can call for treatment during a changeover or a set break. But the villain called it in the middle of the hero's service game, right while the hero was serving for the match. The shot clock was running, and the tension was absolutely unbearable. The umpire had no choice but to stop play, and the physio rushed onto the court while the villain lay there writhing in pain, selling the injury like her entire career depended on it. The hero stood frozen at the baseline, her rhythm shattered, and her match point advantage evaporating into thin air with every passing second. This is where the rulebook exposes the rot at the heart of the WTA, because the rules allow a player to call a medical timeout for an acute injury at any time. But here's the loophole that the villain exploited like a master criminal. There is no independent verification of the injury. There is no penalty for faking it. There is no consequence for gamesmanship whatsoever. The villain knew exactly what she was doing. She knew the rule. She knew the loophole. And she used it to destroy the hero's momentum without any fear of punishment. The physio worked on the villain for several minutes while the crowd grew restless and the hero paced the baseline, her focus shattered and her mind racing in 1,000 different directions. And then, like magic, the villain was perfectly fine. She bounced back to her feet, stretched her legs, and walked to the baseline without a single limp, and the miraculous recovery was complete. But the damage was already done. The hero double faulted. She lost her serve. She lost the set. She was dragged into a deciding set that never should have happened in the first place. The villain had stolen the match with a cheap trick, and the worst part is that the umpire did absolutely nothing about it. The WTA rules allow this garbage to happen. The villain knew she could get away with it, and she did exactly that. But the hero refused to stay silent, and she fought back with everything she had. She dug deep and found something inside herself that the villain could never understand. Guts, heart, and integrity. The hero dominated that final set and crushed the villain with pure, unadulterated fury. Every winner was a statement, every fist pump was a middle finger to the gamesmanship, and every point won was proof that talent always beats trickery. When that final point was won, the hero stood at the net waiting, and she extended her hand. She did the right thing. She showed sportsmanship. She showed class. And the villain, she walked right past her, straight to the umpire. No handshake. No acknowledgement, no respect whatsoever. The villain could not even look the hero in the eye because she knew. She knew she had been exposed. She knew the whole world had seen her cheap tactics. She knew her reputation was in tatters, and she could not face the truth. That handshake rejection was not a protest at all, it was an admission of guilt. The villain knew she had been caught red-handed. She knew the cameras had captured every moment of her deception, and she knew the fans were smarter than the WTA bosses gave them credit for. She could not handle the shame, so she ran. She fled the net. She hid behind the umpire. She tried to pretend the whole thing never happened. But the receipts were about to go public, and there was no hiding from what came next. The post-match press conference was where the villain's lies completely fell apart. The hero walked into that room with fire in her eyes, and she did not hold back. She told the world exactly what had happened. She called out the villain for that fake injury. She exposed the gamesmanship. She named the rule that allows this garbage to happen. She said the villain knew exactly what she was doing. The rulebook confirms every single word, because a medical timeout in the middle of an opponent's service game is a disgrace. The villain used it to steal momentum. She used it to break the hero's concentration. She used it to cheat, and she got away with it. The hero's words were measured but absolutely devastating, and she did not need to shout or swear to make her point. She just stated the facts, and the facts were damning. But the villain's excuses were even worse than her actions on the court. She tried to claim the injury was real. She tried to say the medical timeout was necessary. She tried to paint herself as the victim. But the footage does not lie, and the slow-motion replays show everything. The villain's fall was theatrical, the grimacing was over the top, and the recovery was instantaneous. The limp disappeared the moment the physio left the court, and the villain was running, jumping, and sliding like nothing had happened. That medical timeout was a tactical weapon, plain and simple. The villain knew she was losing, she knew the hero was better, and she knew she could not win fair and square, so she cheated. And when she still lost, she could not even shake hands. This is not the first time the villain has pulled the stunt, and the documents prove a pattern of abuse. At Dubai earlier this year, the villain pulled the same medical timeout trick. At the French Open, she did it again. The pattern is undeniable. The villain has a history of calling medical timeouts when she is losing. She has a history of breaking her opponent's rhythm with cheap tactics. She has a history of refusing handshakes when she gets exposed. The villain is a serial offender, and the WTA has done absolutely nothing about it. The tour leadership has enabled this behavior. They have refused to punish the villain, they have refused to change the rules, and they have refused to protect the integrity of the sport. The villain operates with impunity because the WTA is too weak to stop her. And here is where the backstage war gets truly ugly. The villain is not just a cheat, she is a manipulator. She uses the rules to her advantage. She exploits every loophole. She plays mind games with her opponents. She pretends to be injured to throw them off. She refuses handshakes to disrespect them. She does whatever it takes to win, no matter how dirty. The villain has no honor, no sportsmanship, and no class. She is everything that is wrong with professional tennis. And the worst part is that the WTA protects her. The tour leadership looks the other way. The mainstream media makes excuses for her. They call her competitive and fiery. They refuse to call her what she really is. A cheat, a fraud, a disgrace to the sport. The hero is the exact opposite of everything the villain represents. She plays fair. She fights hard. She respects her opponents. She shakes hands win or lose. She represents everything that is good about tennis. And the villain tried to destroy her. The villain tried to steal her victory. The villain tried to break her spirit. But the hero was too strong for that. She refused to be broken. She refused to be intimidated. She refused to let the villain win. And when the villain refused to shake hands, the hero just smiled. Because she knew she had won the real battle. She had exposed the villain for what she really is. A fraud. A fake. A player who will never be respected. The tennis industry is already distancing itself from the villain, and the top players are talking. The coaches are talking. The agents are talking. Everyone knows what the villain did. Everyone knows she is a cheat. Everyone knows her reputation is destroyed. The villain thought she could get away with it. She thought the rules would protect her. She thought the WTA would cover for her. But the truth is finally exposed, and the receipts are public. The footage is undeniable. The villain's career is in a free fall of her own making. She will never be trusted again. She will never be respected again. She will never be the player she could have been because she chose to cheat. She chose to lie. She chose to disrespect the sport, and the sport will never forget. The villain's legacy is now sealed, and she will be remembered as the player who faked injuries to win matches. She will be remembered as the player who refused handshakes because she could not handle losing. She will be remembered as the player who had no class, no honor, and no integrity. The hero, on the other hand, will be remembered as the player who stood up to the cheater, the player who exposed the fraud, and the player who fought for the integrity of the sport. The hero won the match, but she also won something much bigger. She won the moral victory. She proved that talent always beats trickery. She proved that integrity always beats gamesmanship. She proved that class always beats cheap tactics. The villain thought she could destroy the hero with a fake injury. She thought she could steal the match with a medical timeout. She thought she could break the hero's spirit with a handshake snub. But she was dead wrong. The hero was too strong, too focused, and too determined. The villain's cheap tricks only made the hero stronger. The villain's gamesmanship only exposed her own weakness. The villain's refusal to shake hands only proved she was a sore loser who could not handle the truth. The villain destroyed herself, her own ego, her own arrogance, her own refusal to play fair. She thought she was smarter than everyone else. She thought she could beat the system. She thought she would get away with it. But she did not. The truth came out. The receipts went public. And now the whole world knows what she really is. The villain's career is now defined by this one moment, and not by her titles, not by her ranking, and not by her talent. It is defined by her cheap tactics, by her fake injuries, and by her handshake snubs. This is what she will be remembered for. This is her legacy, and she has no one to blame but herself. She chose to cheat. She chose to lie. She chose to disrespect her opponent. She chose to disrespect the sport. And now she has to live with the consequences. The hero walked away with her head held high, with the victory, and with her integrity intact. And the villain walked away with absolutely nothing. No respect, no dignity, no future. The villain thought she would destroy the hero, but she only destroyed herself.